Imaging inside of a ghost hunt. It's interactive, guys, I promise. Y'all can shout out the answers all you want to.
So you can
see how?
Heat signature.
Not heat, but...
Heat signature?
But cold.
Cold.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, we're literally looking for cold spots. So this is the real deal here, guys. Like, this is a FLIR Pro. What does that mean for you? This is what firemen use to actually help save people. So this is not a phone app. This is not any kind of phony whatever that's going to create things inside the phone. It's an actual camera used by firemen. So you should be able to see me in there, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy. Yeah. Sorry, fellas, but I'm the hottest thing inside the frame right now. You're not in there, so I win. But with that, we're literally looking for blue and black spots to start moving on their own or taking shape on their own. It's set up to white hot, black cold. So the cool thing is you're going to get the full video back of whatever we record tonight. There is a blue dot bouncing around the screen that's giving you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. It's there to help direct your eye on where to look for those coldest spots. And a lot of times if I can capture something that's 15 degrees, colder than our ambient temperature, then I'll be able to capture a screenshot of it and show you how cold those spots actually got and what shape we actually have. So this guy is super cool. However, it doesn't always capture something every single night. But if we don't record it, we won't find it. Now, will we? So, Toby, I think this was going to go to you, man. Like, you've been nodding your head a lot. And I think this is some technology you may not have seen before or even used before. So you're going to hold that horizontal all night with the camera on your left-hand side.
Okay.
We are going to do a few starts and stops. Just because the hardware is great, but the software sucks. If we record for too long, we lose footage, and I don't want to do that. I will give you the cues. It's already recording. I'll let you know when to stop, which will probably be after our second location from here. Okay. So again, even when I tell you to restart it up, make sure you're in that horizontal position with the camera on your left before you hit the record button.
Okay.
Otherwise, the video goes sideways. I got to hand out your phone number because I'm not taking complaints on that one. It's all his fault. So no pressure at all. No kidding.
Gotcha.
These are jokes, guys. We can laugh. It's lighthearted. I know it's ghost hunting, but come on, lighten it up, guys. All right, let's get the second camera out. Just because I like to get both cameras out and get these up and running. So this one is super interesting. I know it's a little Ghostbustery looking, so we're gonna get this guy rolling. Show you a quick demo on this guy.
Giant flashlight.
Pretty much. So you should not be able to see me in this camera. I know this is pretty dark in there. I know it's a pretty small little GoPro, but it has been altered. Yes, you can see me now that the car has passed by. You guys cheated. So I know it's pretty dark, but let's turn on some lights. So now the screen should be somewhat purple. Purple pinkish hue. We're working with IR lighting with this camera. So the camera is designed to see infrared lighting, which is lighting that's being emitted here that you all can't see with your own eyes. The hope here is that we're going to capture something we would not normally capture with our own eyes. I'm not going to start the recording on this one yet because this camera is a little sensitive. We're going to actually have to work with it a little bit. The newest model of this is actually, I just sent it back and it's in the shop right now, so I had to break out the old one. So with that said, Brittany and Tiffany.
That's Amber, actually.
Wow. Wow. Hang on. Let me get these names right again. Brittany, Amber, Jordan. All right. Brittany, this one's going to go to you, my dear.
I felt like it was going to come to me. I don't know why.
The cool thing is that you're going to have a partner, obviously. So that one works with another device to actually help us along. I will show you how to use the recording portion on that at our next location. Just right now, just kind of get used to how to handle it. So this is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done. Aha, you guys got the joke. Good deal. See, I got to get some laughs out of you guys. Lasers. So right now, Brittany can see those lasers like they light up like a Christmas tree. So the lasers that are going to accompany that specific camera. Why do we use lasers on a ghost hunt? We're looking for motion. You can't see the lasers till something actually passes through it. So in the event we actually capture something going through it, I'll get the still shot from it. Obviously, we'll be able to check it out a little bit further, but this is the one that I love to show off. Why? Because we have red squares. In the event we capture something here, I can put it in 3D software, give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. We will be using them side by side. We don't cross the streams here, so remember, no pressure, but we don't cross the streams. Bad Ghostbuster joke, guys. You should have got that one. But we're going to work on them side by side. You always want to make sure the lasers are right at the tip of your toes. You don't want to go any further than that, just so you know like how we're going to operate these guys tonight. Lasers are only safe in certain spaces. Right now, go ahead and just get used to how they turn on. This one has a button. You have to hold it. That's right where my thumb is. Perfect. And then this one has a toggle switch. So once you turn it on, it stays on. You have to be careful. You have to turn it off before you start moving. We're going to get both of those. Got it. Beautiful. So.
I haven't stopped moving from. I need to
Spirit boxes.
Oh,
We're going
nice.
to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. So spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. So, on your TV shows and you know, your YouTube videos, normally the white noise, and your TV show host tells you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. Yeah, we're going to be doing that in real time, only mine are slowed down on purpose. None of you are actually trained to listen to white noise for 2 hours at a time. Somebody's going to fall asleep with all of the real history I'm giving you and white noise. Yeah, somebody's going to need a pillow. So, another method you can use is to slow it down, and whatever we hear out of the radio, from the song lyrics, the DJs, and commercials, we can use that. I'm going to wait till the lights pass. So, if we can make out what the song lyrics, the DJs, and the commercials are saying, it's a 50-50 shot that I can tie to the location of where we are, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you. You guys bring ghosts with you all the time and you don't even know it. So, again, it happens a lot. I'm out here 7 nights a week. I meet a lot of people. So, with that said, I'm going to get you to start talking more. So, I haven't really said much since you got here. I have 2 of these that I'm going to be handing out. This one, Jamie's only going to be, she's going to be the only one to hear it in real time. So she's going to have an earbud in. So just use one. You can control the volume up and down all you want, but it's going to record. All of you are going to get this recording back tomorrow morning. You can mess with the volume as much as you want. It doesn't mess up the recording. I don't know how it works, but it's why we have it. So, again, you have one button to worry about, and it's the volume, just so you can control it on your own. It's a wheel right here. It's a wheel, so you just have to, I have it turned all the way down right now. You just have to undo the twist tie from the earbuds, and I don't want earbuds back. Your earwax is your own souvenir. Congratulations, you win. So, I'm going to hand out the second one to our birthday girl. So, this one does not record. So I'm going to be relying on you with whatever you hear in real time. I will write down a lot of notes tonight to go into your analysis tomorrow morning, just so you guys know. I do keep a little notepad with me. Yes, I'm a writer. I'm the nerdy little writer guy, and I'll be taking notes all night long. Again, you get to keep the earwax that you provide. So you'll have to undo the twist tie here, and it's the wheel at the very top, and you make sure it's all the way down, and you're already good to go. That's the volume. That's all you need to worry about. Let's see. What do we want next? The next spirit box. Let's get this guy out and running. So this spirit box we don't have to actually listen to. It's going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. For your TV show enthusiasts, this would be an obulus. So an obulus, in a nutshell, has 2,048 terms in it. This has 9,168, 4 times the amount. So here's what I'm going to show you about the list. It actually saves everything into one master list with timestamps next to it. It kind of helps direct me on where to listen on a spirit box recording, watch the videos, that kind of thing. I'm going to clear out last night's tour. They had 94 terms and phrases show up last night. That is a lot for a 2-hour time frame. But here's what I'm going to tell you. This is a phone app. 80% of what we're going to find out of this is going to be bullshit. It's not going to mean anything. It's the other 5 to 20% of what's actually going to be legitimately coming from the location of where we're going to be visiting tonight. So I'll give you the full list. Sometimes we get 1 or 2 terms that come out of this list that are relevant. Other nights I have 25 to 30. We never know what's actually going to pop up out of this guy. So with that said, I'm going to give you something that's going to accompany that. So I'm going to hold off on that. Tanner, we're going to go with you on this one. It's a nice easy one. I don't want to see every word that pops up.
I just want to know when.
Nope, I will come to you. Otherwise, we're going to be out here all night. Again, 97 terms last night. Can you imagine how long we would have been if you would have interrupted me 97 times? Yeah, I would have come out. I'm going to come to you when I want to see that list. Is that fair?
Yep.
All right. Let's see. I always try to put a spirit box in every single group. This one, I want to put with this one just because it's open air. There's no earbud. So, Toby's camera. Sorry, I'm trying to get names right. So, Toby's camera records audio. So, I want to put something where you guys are going to be working together because this one doesn't record, but it does work differently than everybody else's spirit box. So this one is going to record or sweep through both the AM and the FM radio stations at the same time and try to eliminate the white noise so we only get terms out of it. So this, you're only going to get about 10 to 12 terms that you can actually make out throughout the entire 2-hour time frame. Do I know when they're going to come up? I have no idea. So the only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it, which is blinking lights at the top, and on the right-hand side there's a mute button. So I'm going to mute it now, even though nothing was coming out of it, just because I want to kind of get through the rest of these devices. So when I say it's fair to unmute, that's when you just tap that button, and the 2 of you will be listening in, kind of seeing what's going on with that. So back on mute, and that goes over to you. Scott, was it?
Yes, sir.
You look very technical, sir. You're going to be my multitasker. So my multitasker, well, I guess first and foremost, you guys have seen these on television before, yes? So yeah, these are pretty basic. We pretty much have to have these, and we're going to get to that because, I mean, Cece, you're going to be getting one of these, but another item to go along with it. This is that device in a digital format. It's going to be 3 different functions. The top number, anything above 2.5, I want to know what's going on because that would be the second dot on that device I just put back in my bag. The bottom is ambient temperature. If Toby finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it pretty quickly based on this yellow probe at the top, just to figure out if it's something coming from man-made, like coldness, or if it's an actual cold spot. Last but not least, it actually has a REM pod built into it. So what does that mean? It's a motion sensor. If something gets close to this antenna, which I'm not touching right now, it will go off. The closer it gets, the higher pitch we're going to get, and there's an array of color in there as well that we're going to talk about at our first location. Okay. I'm going to turn that off for now. Just focus on those numbers on your red screen, and I'll show you more about that later on. Cece, you are also, is that correct that I hear you say that your name was Cece, not Cecilia?
Either way.
Either way. All right, so you're going to be my multitasker. Okay. So you'll be fine. You're going to have 2 devices. Just because as exciting as this one is, because everybody recognizes it, it's not super like, oh my God, check this out. I use this to debunk a lot of things. So again, all you have to do is pretty much tell me what colors you see on this. I already have the colors memorized based on the units of measure. And this one actually is supposed to make a little buzzing sound, but it actually isn't very loud. We can't hear it out here, especially on a Friday night. So that is item number 1 for you. Second thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking hundreds of pictures for us. So there is no flash on this camera on purpose. I do not want any flash on there because we don't want any false positives. You're going to be taking pictures of pretty much anything you want to other than other people, people's vehicles. I would say focus on the lasers when they're out and about and or any kind of landmarks or weird shots of the spaces we'll be visiting. You can literally take as many pictures as you want to, and I'm going to upload all of them so that way everybody has access to them. So any crazy selfies will be deleted, just so you know. So this is a simple point and shoot. When it does shut off from no activity, the power button is right next to the shoot button, which is the biggest one at the top. So you're multitasking as well. Everybody's geared up, yes?
Yes.
Go have fun. Let me know what happens. You're in charge. So the only thing I did not break out is a very old style of a spirit box, because you guys have to remember I go to 10 people. I don't, this was shut off at 9 people. So Toby, when you guys book your tickets, I'll shut it off. So yeah, that was kind of how that went down. So everybody can actually have fun. So let's talk about why we started here. But you guys are going to make me talk all night, so I'm going to take a drink of water. Pretty sure it's my job to talk, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where we're going.
Well, you're going to have to follow me. That's the whole
Give us a
point.
little mat.
Yeah.
Ball take off.
Well, then you guys would have just paid for an app. That's no fun. So you don't get the jokes with the app. So this place that I told you guys about in your text, Big John's, that's why we started here. It is haunted. Of course it is. That's why we started here. So this place used to be owned by football players, and it was Big John Kennedy. Can't imagine why they named it Big John's Tavern. But he used to play for the 1947 New York Giants. So whenever I'm giving you the history of a location, I will do my best, because I talk fast and from the north, to slow down on specific keywords wrapped around the space for your spirit box activity. So obviously I just slowed down on 47, New York, Giants, the name John, anything relatable to the tavern. So, but this was his bar. He used to sit in the back of it, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. He has a bartender throw them out, and they leave pretty angry. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on. He slams down his beer. He gets up and goes over and just starts pounding these guys into the pavement. Like, he just starts beating the hell out of them.
Yeah, we are. You're welcome. Happy birthday.
It's usually not this loud on this corner, so you guys know. I hope I don't lose my voice in the first 15 minutes of our time together. So, but anyway, he starts pounding these guys into the floor. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, but the bullet lands behind him in the wall. This is in the front of the bar, just so you know. John gets up, after being shot, no less, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in ambulance. Now, I say haunted building, you guys automatically think that somebody died in this building or some crazy thing happened here. The crazy thing is that John's blood is still in this building, even if they filled in the bullet hole from the new renovation of Big John's that we're now looking at. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is literally your heated warning. Fingers crossed, we will be dealing with paranormal activity tonight, and I do not know how it's going to affect any of you. If anybody feels any of those symptoms, I need to know immediately. It's a big deal. That way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. What's funny on the word list? Did it come up with something funny?
Well, first one was like accused.
Okay.
And the next one was just chill. I was paying attention.
Oh, I got you. Good. He's working. Yeah.
So what are we supposed to be? We're listening for keywords?
Yes. And again, I'm going to answer all of those details at the next stop.
Okay.
You know, that quick intro was just to get everything into your guys' hands. So, please tell me when somebody's not feeling well. Again, it's a little humid tonight, so we'll kind of nip into those things off the top of our things. But anyway, same building. Let's talk about something else other than our own health, because Nicole's got this really look of concern on her face, and I want to get it off there. So, big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from another tour of any type, now you do. Every tour in town talks about it because it is an anomaly for Charleston. This is the East Coast. We're not supposed to have earthquakes. This building is where allegedly the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around to the front on the busy East Bay Street side. So, a piece of it broke off, allegedly, hit somebody in the back of the head, allegedly, and killed them. And they say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I say allegedly a lot with that story because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so Nicole's not thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, see, she chuckles now. All right, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting?
Yes.
Get off the street corner, this noisy corner. We're going to go.
Do I unmute this?
Yeah, you're good.
Do I unmute it? No, we get to there.
I think I'll tell you. So I'm not sure if I need to be recording at this point or not. Yeah, Charleston's just got so many of those stories. And you've never been on one of these, have you?
Uh-uh.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. So like look at this. You can just, as we walk down these areas, a lot of this is old, right?
Uh-huh.
So if there are ghosts, this would be the place.
So, this is literally a very quick stop, just so I can teach you guys more about your devices. Right behind me is the big red barn. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. Yes, they can hear us, so that's why we use earbuds with most of our spirit boxes now. And it's also why we don't use lasers in this space, just because we'll spook the horses, they'll kick the metal wall, and somebody will have to go change their pants, because it is that loud. So, the history here is really simple. I made it that way on purpose so we can talk more about your devices. This is the same red barn that used to hold horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Obviously, key words here being delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. Let's talk about spirit boxes, because there's 5 to play tonight. So, everybody wants to ask the same question when they get a spirit box or any kind of communication device. What do you think that question might be?
Who are you?
Who are you? Or
Where are you?
How did you die?
What's
is
your
somebody
name?
here? Is normally what everybody wants to ask. So, in the event Jamie hears no, that means somebody's here because they answered. You guys see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
We're not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. So, you guys, it was very good, Tanner. So thank you for the great, non-examples that I look for. But at the same token, we don't like to ask yes or no questions when you're on an actual investigation. So the next time you guys are watching your TV shows, you guys can all make fun of them because that's all they do on TV.
Yes.
So,
That's true.
it is very true. Me and my daughter do it all the time. So, with that said, I would normally say ask a question in a space first that you would know the answer to. For an example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, the color is red. We're looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because Tanner has a word list. However, most of you are using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available as a direct answer, but fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. The color's the big red barn? Blood. Cool. However, most of the night, I'm going to require that there are 2 happenings, whether from the same device or multiple devices, to be able to verify what's happening in real time. Another example. Let's say Tanner has the word art on his word list. He probably doesn't right now, but we're just going to use that as an example. Nicole hears the number 40 on her spirit box. Neither one of those terms mean anything in this space individually, but Art Fairclock was number 40 on Big John's team. Does that make sense how we're going to be putting these clues together throughout the night?
Yeah.
Again, this is not going to be, hi, my name is Big John. I played for the Giants. We're not going to get a whole conversation out of these people. It's about putting the clues together. Not to mention, most of the stories I'm going to tell tonight, well, not stories, but histories tonight, are going to be from the 17 and 1800s. These people all have the same damn names, Charles and Georges and Elizas. We need to know who these people are and which one we're actually speaking with. So, is that fair to everybody? Again, I'm not hiding anything, and I'm going to be the first to debunk a lot of stuff. You guys are going to find that out real fast. So, let's talk about cameras. Oh, I guess I should reiterate, because there was already a question from Jordan about how the spirit boxes work. So, basically what you're listening for are those song lyrics, DJs, and commercials. If you hear "Buy a Kia today," I want to know that you heard "Buy a Kia today." So, again, the word "buy" might actually mean something out of that specific phrase to our location. But sometimes I'm going to say often, like, hey, that's a great first clue. I may have withheld information on purpose. I'm going to see what else pops up before I kind of reveal why that might be relevant.
Is it just white noise like you're saying?
No. So you should be hearing,
Yeah, it's on now.
and if you're hearing little words come through from the song lyrics and the DJs,
I am.
that's what you're listening for.
Gotcha.
If you can make it out, that's what I want you to tell me what you heard.
Gotcha.
Is that fair now?
Yep.
All right. So cameras. Let's talk about these first. And I'm going to be getting you two mixed up all the time. So Brittany first, right? With the camera. Am I getting it right?
Yep.
All right. So you are basically going to be just a nice, slow and steady camera person, like back and forth. But Amber, point one of your lasers on the ground for us. Perfect. So I don't want you pointing the camera down at it like this, because we already know what these stars look like. I literally want you to be like 2 to 4 feet away from her, so take a step backwards. Perfect. Now, we're literally looking for motion right here. So again, when you use both of them simultaneously, just make sure your other one isn't crossing the streams, otherwise it's pointless.
Like this one?
Right, because we just created 2 giant pyramids going down like this. Otherwise, if you put them together, it's just one big pyramid. So this way, if we're using them in conjunction like that way we have a bigger array and a bigger way to capture some kind of motion going through these. You two will move very slowly together, and I'll show you how to get that thing recording at the next stop. So go ahead and kill your lasers. It seems like you guys already have a good gist. That's a perfect position, by the way.
Okay,
Just right there at the belly, just let it shoot straight. So perfect. Toby, your camera, you're going to try to do 2 things for us.
Okay.
First off, you're going to try to keep one of us in view.
Okay.
So reason being is we're going to be the warmest things out here.
Sure.
That's going to give us that array of color across the entire screen. Much easier to capture cold spots when there's a very high spot of 97 to 99 degrees. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to differentiate what's what. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason for that is because that blue dot that's looking for the cold area is going to default to the sky.
Yeah,
There's no surface up there. That's what it's looking for. Some of those spaces we're going to, it's going to be very difficult to keep the sky out. Just do your best.
Okay.
As far as all 3 cameras, so CCU included, there's going to be certain areas we go to like this where there's going to be cars parked. People do not like their cars being filmed. They don't like to be filmed. So we're going to be in like constant motion with these cameras, and we're never going to stop on somebody's car. If I do like a "Andy's coming," kind of mentality from Toy Story, it's going to be act very casual. So Brittany, you're going to point yours to the ground, just so you know, nice and easy. And of course, you're playing with a cell phone, Toby, so that one's going to be really easy. And then of course, CC, you're just going to stop taking pictures, whatever, because again, if people are passing through, just act casual. They have no idea what we're doing. If I was a car thief, Toby's device would be my first line of sight, just because I can see the heat signatures of these vehicles and how long they've actually been there. I would be a little suspicious of somebody with a heat gun on my car as well. Just kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to work more on with Scott here at the next location, just because I want to get us to much deeper histories than football players and ponies. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All right. Did we get any readings, any blinky lights show up on yours, CC? And any readings come up on your big numbers? Nothing at all.
I hear something coming
All
out
right.
of yours.
So let's go up to the next spot. Let's go deep dive into some history now that you got somewhat moved.
I don't know, like, it's a lot.
I wonder, do I need to press the record?
Is it recording or no?
I don't know. I don't think so. Well, maybe.
I know.
See, over here is the same thing parking.
What's that, babes?
In here it's like the same thing.
Well, we're good. We're going to end up on Cumberland, so we'll have to
Well,
walk
that was
back
perfect.
or whatever.
Can we hold my box for a second?
Yeah. You want me to lick your box for a second? What? Oh, you just said hold it. Sorry.
Okay.
What's up, babes?
So, welcome
Scooch.
to another beautiful site of Charleston. It's a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. So, if you guys don't know where to park by the time I'm done with you, I don't know how to help you. Like, seriously. So what is this space? Well, I guess first and foremost, Spirit Box teams, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse. This will be the first location where I actually hold back and keep some of that information to myself to see what's actually going to pop up. So, what is this space? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion.
Yep.
So this actually sat in the front of this space, facing Bay Street. We're going to talk more about that later on. But Eliza's garden was lined up with the Five Church restaurant over there and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So just so everybody kind of has a layout of what this space actually looked like. So, who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Charleses. Do you guys see why we look for secondary clues now? Yeah, I hope so. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Pretty big deal for us South Carolinians, at least those of us that live here, but I hate politics more than anybody here. So we're going to move on. What do you think? Eliza, way cooler anyway. Let's talk about her. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14, just so you know. You're going to hear according to today's standards, which she would have been considered an old maid, but we'll talk way more about that later on. But anyway, I bring this up because Charles was over double her age when they married. Big age gap back then, definitely a big age gap now, just so you guys kind of have that gist. But they got married because Eliza's father was over in England and he thought he was dying. He wanted to see his kids one last time. She didn't think he was dying, so she got married. It's 1744. You don't marry somebody for a green card or citizenship in 1744 because we're not even a country. She did marry this gentleman out of love, and she did remain a widow after his death. Remember, he's over double her age. He definitely went first. But she was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he got better. He started sending her gifts apologetically to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo.
Indigo.
You guys have been in town for more than an hour. Some of you actually live around here. So you've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise you. So she didn't know what to do with these seeds when she got them. She had to learn from her slaves and servants on how to keep it cultivated here. That's because the slaves that we had came from the Gullah culture. They're basically agriculturists and farmers all on their own. So smart move on her part to learn from them how to keep it going. Once she figured it out and experimented with it in this space, she moved it to a plantation just north of here. Calls her father up and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. She was right, she did. We now have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of. So, that's her business. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are all here, right? Cece starts laughing like, yes, give me some weird stuff. So, with that, let's get into those. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, back to back from Charles, 5 months apart. First wife, Eliza, passes away in January. The second, he marries in May. 5 months later. It's either really smart or really stupid to marry 2 women with the exact same name. Ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's all I'm going to give you. If you want to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask the maiden name. Not the middle name, the maiden name. The mansion's not here anymore. You can obviously ask what happened to it. Some truck is parked in their living room. So again, ask her what happened to it. If you get an answer, ask what year that happened. Hopefully you get a direct answer. I hope you're realizing too by now that we don't ask yes and no questions during my investigations. The children, I told you there was at least one, signer of the Constitution, Charles, right? Little Chucky. So there's more. You can actually ask how many children she had and what their names are. But that's it. Here's why. If we poke the bear, there is a tragedy among those children. We don't want to piss off the Pinckney family. All activity will stop. Have you gotten any kind of readings yet, Scott? Okay, how high?
10.6.
Okay.
And then we started talking about the children that shot up again.
Okay. And anything come up out of your device? I've been watching it. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, when we first got here, it shot up to like the light green, but then it quickly went away.
So about another 10. Okay, so we got about an average of 10 so
Temperature
far.
went up just a little.
The temperature is like a just in case Toby actually finds something. It's just at the ready. So I don't normally pay attention to temperature until we need it from the staff particular user. But yeah, in the event we poke the bear about this child, the tragic child, all activity will stop, including any of the EMF readings that we're getting. And I'm going to explain more about those readings and what they mean when we see how high it's going to go in this location. So before we part ways, I'll give you all the answers. But again, names and how many on the children. Eliza's death, you can ask anything you want to. She's pretty open. How old were you when you died? What did you die from? Where are you buried? And what U.S. president was a pallbearer at your funeral? So again, very specific questions. If you go rogue and ask your own questions, first off, make sure it's something you can actually prove. Anything about servants and slaves, unfortunately, I can't prove it. There's no records. I have a few first names in some of her letters that I have copies of, but nothing to be able to verify who these people actually were, unfortunately. So a lot of people like to stay back here because we're getting EMF readings and lots of things about the servants. I can't prove anything. But just make sure it doesn't deal with her feelings, because we can't prove any of that either, other than she had a very happy marriage. So we are going to spread out in this location. We're going to stay away from the vehicles. We don't go in between cars. If somebody's going through, obviously those with cameras know what to do. It's going to be an Andy's coming mentality. But I am going to be working with Scott for just a few minutes to get him set up on his motion sensor. And then I'm going to be following up with all of you, writing down tons and tons of notes. So before we leave this space, we will regroup just like this, and I'll give you a recount of what basically I find is going to be counted as evidence for me to be able to verify tomorrow morning, either a secondary clue or things you already found. So because we have somebody's birthday going on right now, I have a little extra thing that I like to use in this location. We have a spirit box. I normally only give this item to somebody with a spirit box, and we only use it in this space. It's a trigger object. Trigger object is actually designed to help stir up some of the activity that's going on here. So what do you guys think I have?
Something from her, from Eliza.
Well, something from her is going to be very expensive to come across. However, I do have indigo seeds that actually creates blue dye. So you just hang on to these, obviously.
Oh, nice.
As you're asking your questions and that kind of thing, and hopefully you'll hear things a little bit more clearly. That's the whole point of a trigger object. So make sure I get that little tiny vial back. They're expensive and hard to come by. And again, it took like 6 weeks for it to come in through Amazon, no less. So,
which
again,
is a long
keep that in
time.
mind. Yeah, that's a long time. So let's spread out. Scott, you need to stay behind. Jamie, you can stay behind too, so that way you can actually see what's going on with this thing. But yeah, let's spread out. Turn on your spirit boxes. Let's get these things. Oh, we gotta get your
questions.
Yes, absolutely.
What are the questions you said?
I just gave you like 15.
You did.
I did.
What were the three? You had three main ones.
Maiden name.
Yeah, start with what happened to the mansion. How about that? In the event this thing actually locks
Well,
up,
at one time it was a tapas restaurant.
This?
Yeah, this was
Question.
Meritage.
Is this supposed to be forward? Is it
Meritage used to sit right here.
No, that just means that's a video camera. The battery's in the lower left. So,
Oh, okay, I see.
but again, if the screen locks up, just come back and see me. I'll show you how to reset it.
Do I want to?
Nope, you've been recording this whole time.
Okay, cool.
And I want to keep that going.
So this was Meritage at one point in time, right?
It was
a
what?
restaurant. Meritage.
No,
It's a tapas restaurant right here.
no, Molly Darcy's.
All right. I just remember before it was a parking lot, it actually was a restaurant.
Yeah, it was
at one
Molly
point.
Darcy's.
But I do remember your story. So wasn't there something going on with her and like the French men that came over to try to steal the indigo?
I know that there were more indigo farmers after she kind of became the pioneer of it, but I don't know that they were infringing too much on her business based on the quality of it.
Gotcha.
So again, I don't have any research that says that she had any encounters with like a bad Frenchman of any sort. Just so you know, and I do a lot of research on this one.
No, I just remember. I thought I heard that. I remember when you said indigo. I was like, oh yeah, I remember she had the indigo.
And if you have information that I don't, by all means, share. I mean, send me links. I'm glad to add it to my roster of research.
No, we appreciate it. This is awesome. This is great. So we just kind of canvas the
slowly
area.
Wander.
Okay.
Make sure that thing's on. You can hear it already. Just start asking questions and kind of see what's going on. I'll be following up with you guys in just a moment.
Cool. All right. So, what do you want to ask?
Well, what was her maiden name? Well, what happened to the mansion?
Do you have it turned up? Here, come on. We'll go this way. Just trying to keep a hot body in the situation, so I got you. I got the hot body.
I think
When did you die?
What year did you die?
Alright, let's keep walking around. It's obviously not going to pop up immediately, right? Yeah, that's a good question.
What happened to the mansion?
You're not getting
What was another question?
it. What president was pallbearer at your funeral?
What about the children? What are the children's names?
I think we don't. Yeah, what were the children's names? Here, keep walking.
What happened to the mansion? What's Eliza's maiden name?
You were getting some feedback over there. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. Like I heard a couple
What's
things like
Eliza's-
kick up.
What's Eliza's maiden name?
And is it still as loud as you had it over there, honey?
Yeah, I don't see the volume on there.
Okay, so, did you turn it up?
What happened to the mansion? What happened to the mansion?
No. What president was a pallbearer at your funeral? Interesting because I said that and it started kicking up, right? I'm trying to look for any cold spots and things.
All right, what happened to the mansion? When did it happen?
What did it say?
I can't hear. Did you hear what happened
Eliza?
to the mansion?
Are we speaking with Eliza? Did you hear yeah?
What's Eliza's last name? Which Eliza?
What's your maiden name?
What's your maiden name?
What was
Wade?
it? Did it say Wade? How many children did you have? It's interesting because you asked what her last name was and it answered something. Did it say Wade?
How many children? That's what it sounded like, but
Which Eliza are we speaking with?
what's Eliza's maiden name?
What happened to the mansion?
What happened to the mansion? It was awful.
Is that what it said?
I don't know. What happened to the mansion? What happened?
Can we watch the vehicles?
Oh.
So what do we got going on over here?
I don't know what happened to the mansion.
Well,
It sounded like it was awful.
when we asked about Eliza's maiden name, we heard Wade. I don't know if that
No.
has anything to do with anything.
It was like that's all I heard. I said, what happened to the mansion? It sounded like it was awful.
I think it burned down.
You're making it up.
From historical, I think it burned. I mean, that's just what I remember, but again.
Well, see if you can prove that to me.
There you go.
I know the answer.
Yeah, you've got all the answers. You've got the test. You're.
Hey, how many children did you have? 2? 3? How many children did you have?
Did you hear 2?
I thought I heard 2 at first.
All right, let's walk around a little bit. Let's see what they have. Which Eliza are we speaking with? What is your maiden name?
What's your maiden name?
Nothing? Here, we'll walk over here.
So cold.
Nothing that strikes me as...
What's your maiden name? What happened? What happened at the mansion? What happened at the mansion? What happened at the mansion? What happened at the mansion?
Yeah, I'm not getting anything. Nothing that strikes me as...
What president was your pallbearer? What Eliza are we speaking of? What's Eliza's maiden name?
Let's try this.
I'm gonna go to a rooftop bar at some point.
It's alright. You've never been up there? How many children did you have?
Maybe it's a 3.
Did it say 3?
I don't remember.
Well, let's see. Try to do a sales tactic. Let's be nice. Eliza. Yeah, we'll stay right here. What happened to the mansion?
What happened to the mansion? Wait. What happened to the mansion?
What's it coming up with? I hear a little bit.
Hey, what happened to the mansion?
All right.
What happened to the mansion? What happened to the mansion? What happened to the mansion?
Every time you say it, something wants to come through.
What Eliza are we speaking with? What's your maiden name? Eliza?
Eliza, what is your maiden name?
Nothing really here.
Well, keep walking. Trying to... Maybe we go that way.
What year was the fire? Or not fire.
What happened to the mansion? What was that?
I couldn't hear.
Here, go this way.
What happened to the mansion? What happened to the mansion?
Feels like if we could figure out where, we could ask the right question as opposed to asking. What? Did you hear what?
Uh-huh. What happened to the mansion? What?
Was there a... Let me think. What is your maiden name? If we're speaking to Eliza, what is your maiden name? There was an answer. What was it?
I couldn't hear. I don't know what it said.
Yeah.
Okay. If we're speaking to Eliza, what is your maiden name?
Keep in mind, when you're asking questions,
Yeah.
we literally have 8 points of communication tonight.
Okay.
We have 5 spirit boxes, my audio, your audio.
EVP.
Yeah.
All that.
So somebody else might be getting the answer.
Okay.
It happens all the time. I make out full sentences that way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I asked a question that could be picked up elsewhere.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Depending on where, obviously, things are moving around.
Very cool. No, but it's sometimes we ask a question and something happens like immediately, but it's imperceptible. Like it's not something I can pick up.
Nothing tangible that you can
Correct.
pick out.
But
that's why
but
we're
it's
working with this camera, so hopefully we can listen to it again, and if I can slow it down because I captured it, then that's another piece.
but
After
it's
I asked the
interesting.
question, it would immediately.
Yeah, it's interesting that if you ask a question, then you get something. Like
Well, in certain spots.
yeah,
Certain spots.
yeah. That's very cool.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah, but there was that one question you asked. It was like immediate, even if it wasn't anything we could understand. It was like immediate, like response. Eliza, what president was your pallbearer? See, I mean, it happened like something.
What president was the
Taft?
pallbearer? What president was the pallbearer?
Did I hear Taft?
What president was the pallbearer? What did you say?
All right, let's wander over this way. Trying to keep you in the frame.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay, babe. You're like the hottest thing there, so.
Alright, I'm pushing everybody to the back again. Let's get you guys some answers. How about that? It's kind of
Is Taft involved here? From a president's perspective, pallbearer?
You making stuff up? No, negative.
He would have been later. Way later, yeah. Okay, well then nothing. Sorry, I thought I breakthrough.
Why is it you were wrong?
So we said pallbearer, and then all of a sudden Taft came out. So I don't know.
That's what you heard. I didn't hear that.
That's
But I'm not hearing.
usually your first instinct of what you heard is what you actually heard. That's what we go with.
okay.
Which is why I have you guys tell me every little silly thing that you guys are hearing. So I guess first and foremost, let me get that indigo from you.
It broke.
You broke it?
No, it came off the paper.
I blew this thing like 5 times.
Okay.
So I probably just need to find a new way to keep it on there. Alright, so I always do videos. Let's go ahead and fill those videos. I think you already stopped. You're good. So hit your square. Kind of give your hands a break. Sides of each other. Casey, feel free to take tons and tons of pictures here. Preferably of the men not working. So that would be great. We do capture a lot of works in here with your specific camera. So just kind of keep that steady. Perfect. Alright, so when we crossed the last crosswalk coming over, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So, the reason why I bring you all here is because people used to live here. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. So start talking to me about what names y'all heard. What have you got?
I thought I heard Beth.
Beth. Okay.
Here, Ebenezer.
Ebenezer. Wow. Bill? We got got names on yours?
Yeah, I got maybe 3 or 2. Kaylee
Okay.
and Chris.
And you and I were chit-chatting, so no, it's fine. I actually distracted you by starting talking to you. That is touchy. So here's the thing. I normally get the same names here every 6 to 7 weeks. Unfortunately for us tonight, we're in week 1, 2 of that 6 to 7 week long mission. So we're gonna let these guys pass through. Sorry guys.
Oh,
I
we interrupted your talk.
Doing good. So the names I normally get here are Benjamin and John. So that full list of residents, when I say people live here, I'm not talking like 25 to 50 people live down this little tiny alleyway. I'm only talking like 2 to 6 people at a time. So when I get the same names over and over and over again, there's a little bit of something going on here. So Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. If we get a little confused about which John it is, because there were 4 different Johns that lived here over a 60-year time span, John will give us his last name, Johnson. Yes, his name was John Johnson. So, but when you say Beth, to me, I already hear that Beth part of Ben or Benjamin, and you said Beth. So again, I'm going to take it both ways. I'm still going to look for an Elizabeth to see if there was maybe a possible Beth on that list. And the list isn't very long, guys. It's not like Google's and Google's pages. It's like a page and a half. So it's not very long at all. But same names over and over again, there's a couple of reasons why I think that's actually happening. First off, Scott, I want you to take your device and I want you to, don't turn the motion part of it on, just set it on a brick and let me know how high it gets. So I'm starting to study this particular space for the next podcast episode because I'm studying the stone tape theory. Basically, here's how it works. Certain stones around the world are said to hang on to the consciousness of memories and basically spit them back to us in a residual haunting. Now, these bricks are called Belgian blocks. We are told they are made out of granite. Granite does not hold on to any kind of magnetism or EMF or anything of any sort. So if we get any numbers on those specific on your device tonight, I'm not going to be surprised because we just started doing this a few nights ago. We got it all the way up to an 11, which is pretty significant for a granite block. It's not supposed to hold on to anything. Last night, we didn't get anything. It was super weird. We went up to like a 0.6. That was it. But 2 nights ago, we got up to 11, and we had an 8 reading as well. So that's why I think we're here. We're dealing with the stone tape theory and why I keep getting the same names over and over again. It's just playing everything over again on a loop. Again, I keep track of where that loop is at. Right now, we're in week 1 or 2 of my 6 to 7 week long loop. How do I know? Because I got Ben, John, Johnson over again for like 2 or 3 nights in a row, a week and a half ago. So that's kind of how I keep track of everything. So can I line it up with any moon phases or anything like that? Nope. I can't figure it out for the life of me when it's actually going to occur. All I know is it's every 6 to 7 weeks. Before people actually lived here, has it gone up to anything?
It's been at a 1 to, it was at 1.0 and I set it down.
Okay. So before the people actually lived here that I just told you about, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. We do get terms like Freemason, Mason, Brick. We've even had the term Illuminati show up on quite a few occasions. Yes, it's a chuckle because first off, who the hell is saying the word Illuminati on the radio? They don't. Yeah. And second, why am I only hearing it during the time that we're in this space? 6 times last year and twice already this year. So that we've actually heard that term. So again, I don't know who the hell is talking about the Illuminati, but it's definitely not a radio topic. Just so you guys, it's more of a podcast topic. Am I right? So they actually did do an archaeological dig underneath these bricks. So they found that some of these people were lower class people. It makes sense because if you think about the geography of the way the wall was set up, it was on the other side of East Bay Street, across from where we were walking down the road. The smell of low tide would be coming through here all the time. The rich people of Charleston are not going to put up with the smell of low tide. If you haven't had that pleasure of smelling low tide, good luck. It's nasty. So, if you've noticed down at the Battery, the houses are skinny in the front and go long backwards, right? You guys been down there? Even through some of our neighborhoods, you'll notice that. Even when we go through this neighborhood, you'll notice that. They're set up that way for a couple of reasons. First off, it keeps the smell of low tide out because the front porch is on the side. They put a front door on it to keep the smell of low tide from coming in. They open up their second-story window, which allows the cool air from the water to come in. Cool air drops, heat rises. You have old-school air conditioning. It's just circulating through. The second reason is because you were taxed based on how much street side you actually took. The skinnier your house, the less taxes you pay. Now, we just left the Pinckney Mansion site where I showed you a picture where it's at broad against the street. First off, they're outside the city walls. Second, Eliza's making a whole hell of a lot of money with her indigo. Next, all the other painting men are politicians, so if they're paying taxes at all, they didn't care. There's more bragging rights to show off their beautiful home. So just kind of keep all of those factors in mind. I don't know if they were paying taxes or not. I never looked at their tax records. So Cece's like, can you get those tax records? Eventually I could if I dug hard enough. But again, I like to point those things out. And what's going on with your device right now is what I would still consider a man-made object, because that is still a rhythm. Being steady and just super bright on one color, that's still a rhythm to me, even though it's not into a pulse or a beat. If we don't have any readings going on there, go ahead and pick up your device. So again, we tested it again, but again, I can't take out that 11.7 and 8.6 that I got the other night. That was crazy stuff. This space is very weird, and I just lingered here so we can get some loops on the recordings to see what's actually going to go on here. Not to mention, Brittany's camera captures a lot of words when we're down here. So we're kind of seeing what happens, when I'm going through the media review. What's going to happen from here is I'm going to take you to another alley. However, I cannot take you all the way through it like what we're doing here. Why? I've been booted out. So you guys have all the blinkies and the noisemakers and all of that stuff, and it is considered residential at the end. Yes, I will give you the funny story of how I got booted out of there, because everybody wants to hear it. But we are going to be outside the alley, and we're going to start running into those larger groups that I told you about earlier, those groups of 20. For us to go investigate an alley this size with 20 to 60 other people in there is not fair to them or us when we're trying to maneuver around and see what's going on inside that space. But by us talking about it outside the alley, we will stir up enough activity that will linger with us through the rest of our evening together from that one story. Last night, the entire night was themed. Once we started coming across down East Bay Street, everything was relatable to this next story. I don't know what it is about it, but it loves to come through every single night. So we'll see what you guys hear along the way. Lasers are still out of the game a little bit, so sorry about that. Lasers are, they'll get Nick in trouble. Let's put it that way. Yeah, there's a laser law in Charleston. So as we're walking through, if you want to put your lasers on until we exit, but all cameras will stop filming as we exit the alley because we're cutting through a neighborhood. So if you want pictures of the alley, be the last one out, turn around and go long. Same thing with all of the other cameras. Just turn around or walk backwards if you want to. Just be careful. The bricks are going to get even worse than when we started it coming in this way. Have we heard anything before we move on? Jim, you got anything? You were super focused, by the way. You've got those laser eyes on you. They've just been paying you on every word. Any words coming up out of you?
Grace.
Grace. That's interesting. I'll look that one up. I don't know if there's a Grace on the list, but there might be. And
I heard sweet dreams as we were coming across that last crosswalk.
It could also be because of that candy shop that we passed by too. So again, I've had the word sweet show up by that candy shop quite often. Right there by the market. It's closed now. Do you hear anything more we've been saying here?
No, it's been kind of hard to multitask.
I know.
To you and also listen to you.
I know. It's not an easy task. I'm not asking you guys to do it, but that's what you paid for. You paid me to go to work, right? Isn't that how it works? So, all right, let's head up to that next alley. Remember, film takers, cameras, you're going to stop as we exit.
It's hard. It's hard to do.
Yeah, these are ankle breakers. Yeah, watch your step.
Yes.
Don't want to roll your ankle, babes. Yeah, they are ankle breakers.
You did not pay to get filmed. You guys are all part of that because that's why you guys are here. You want to be filmed. If you want extra pictures, you can. Just do the screen. Yeah, it's a sneaky peek. All right. So, anything that you guys may have heard along the way?
What was that?
Jesse.
Valentine. And then home. Right? Oh, an injury. It was either injury or injury.
I'm going to take an injury because you said it first. Go through this again. Well, religious terms are going to be common because we're getting close to the same church and cemetery. You guys see the big steeple as we are exiting out of Lodge Alley. The closer we get to that, you're going to hear a lot of religious terms, like priest, pastor, those kind of things. So anything come up out of yours, I know we were all chatting.
Not till now.
So I'm going to you muted just as I tell this story, just because
All right.
it's a little bit of a lengthy one, and I don't want to get interrupted too often. So definitely keep your REM pod off. You're probably not going to get any readings here. If you do, it's going to be false positives. So same thing for your CC. Any words come up on your scan? What was the last one? File. So here's how this story goes. Behind me stands Philadelphia Alley. It's easy for me to remember because that's exactly where Liza's buried. She's buried in Philadelphia. So kind of look at all the ties that we have to Philadelphia from being down here. But it used to be called Dueller's Alley. So this is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Every ghost tour tells the same story. Of course, I'm going to tell it a little bit differently because you're ghost hunting. You need different details than the standard campfire ghost story of what everybody else is doing. So far everything I told you has been things that I have studied. We're going to start getting more into the campier stuff for Charleston, but of course it would be told a lot differently based on what you're actually doing. So here's how the story goes. The doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents, and she has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money. The attorney tells Amanda, sorry, there's a lot of twists in that part, right? The attorney tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. To prove that the doctor's not just after Amanda's money, he moves to Charleston. He's coming into town. The coachman that brought him into town, you want to be filming the alley behind me, basically my shorts. There you go. You got it. Otherwise, everybody's going to get the crotch shot. So, it's not a very good video that I want to be passing around. But anyway, so, the coachman that brought him into town sent him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to this day in Charleston. That guy's name, obviously the doctor was Joseph Brown Ladd, but somebody was walking by. He sees what's going on. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph because Ralph has the same initials as to where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. You're dealing with ghost hunting out here. The initials mean something. R.I. will show up quite a bit. However, we need that secondary clue because I just gave you the two main characters, Ralph and the doctor. We need to know who the hell it belongs to. So, when it does show up, we'll kind of look at the other clues and see what's going on. But Ralph says, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to rob and kill you and take all your cash. So, I got some friends on Church Street where you can stay. You can rent a room with these friends of mine and you'll be safe. The doctor takes him up on the offer, and Ralph and the doctor become friends. So the doctor lives at 59 Church Street, obviously 59 being a big number here. So they become friends, and the doctor's practice begins to take off. He's making his own money now. The man is moving down soon. He becomes known as the whistling doctor. I'm going to point out that every haunted city you will ever go to in the future has a cliche whistling ghost. Every single one. I've been to a lot. So this one's a doctor. Go with it. It actually works here. So, with that, the doctor and Ralph goes to play together, but they can't sit next to each other. Why? The doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. It's just the way the hierarchy went back then. They went to go see a play, William III from Shakespeare. They talk about this play on the way home. They can't sit next to each other. They start arguing over the new actress. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. The argument gets a little bit more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. But Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees this ad and he rebuttals with, let's go to Dueller's Alley. Let's just get this settled and done and over with. Somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He wanted to prove a point, have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Ralph gets his one shot, puts it in the kneecap of the doctor. The doctor doesn't die either. He drops to the ground. His friends pick him up and they carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember, this guy's a doctor. He probably tried to heal it by bleeding it out himself. So, they say as you walk through here, here's the campfire ghost story part of it. You can actually hear the whistles from the ghost. Now, turn on your voice recorders when you're not with me. And walking down there, listen for kind of whistles when you listen to the recording at your own time. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or on Queen Street, the other side is going to blow a whistle down the alley. So I do it every single night on my way back home. We are we're going to end up there, and my garage is right above that little convenience store. So I throw a whistle down there every single night. When my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So I will tell you on your spirit boxes, even though we're out here, we do get songs with whistling in them, like Guns N' Roses' Patience, Maroon 5's Blues Like Jagger. There are whistles in a lot of different songs. It is just very uncanny that we can only get those type of songs while we're outside this alley. It happens all the time. So, here's I used to take my tours all the way through. It's all about how you listen to the regular audio without spirit boxes down there. This was before I came up with the brilliant idea to actually use, earbuds with these spirit boxes. So, it's probably the biggest business. Really needed a little bit of something. This alley has a long history, and it actually used to be called Cow Alley. So there's a lot of weird things that actually go on with the specific alley. I don't always like to tell why I got booted out of here when I might have a local nearby, just so you guys know. That's why I was waiting for him to move. So here's what happened. This alley didn't come all the way through. So the other side, those bricks are older. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint for the slave child at the end, along with fingerprints. And I've always stopped to point them out to show the history of how far we've actually come. Everybody wants to put a spirit box or an EMF meter near it, and I treat those bricks the exact same way I do the grave. That kid is not staring at that damn brick in the afterlife. I can guarantee you that. However, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 decided they're going to huddle around that one little brick with the handprint in it and see if they can get a reading. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window. Come out screaming, not very happy with me. Of course, I obviously looked like the guide, so he come out screaming. My daughter thought it was great. His dad's getting yelled at. So she's kind of a happy girl. We move on. The next day was November 27th, Thanksgiving of that year. I did not have a tour. I worked in retail for over 20 years. I was finally going to have a Thanksgiving off. I'm sure you can imagine my delight. November 28th, I get a phone call from the tourism office asking me to either reroute my tour or only go down halfway like everybody else, because that's where the limit is. That's not considered residential. I decided I'm going to reroute my tour, and I told my team that night, once I got up to this area, that we're not going to be going down the alley. We're going to see what happens at the next stop, only because I'm not a pirate person. I'm a vampire guy through and through, and I flat out told him I didn't even believe the story. Like, it was one of those kind of nights. I was kind of angry because I had to do some quick reading just to come up with something. So I take them up there, and before I even tell them what we're going to be discussing, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be talking about Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. I told them what I knew at the location, and then somebody hears the number 300 out of another spirit box, and I have no idea what it means in real time. When I did my research the next morning, I found out that we were there on November 28th, 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1712. Of her pirate trial. Absolutely insane, right? So, I have read more damn books on piracy in the past, 2 years now, than I care to want to remember. I read a lot on pirates because it is all lore. I have to match up clues to be able to piece things together for when we're investigating the space. It is our last stop, but we're going to have a stop in between. When I tell you the story of Anne Bonny, keep in mind, it is a conglomerate of common clues among more than one resource. I did that purposely to make sure I wasn't giving you any false information. It had to come from more than one resource for it to come out of my mouth if we're going to investigate real history. So when we get to that space, keep in mind, it is a crazy whopper of a story. However, that is a hit or miss location. We either get a lot of activity or we get nothing. It's literally like that. So we'll see what happens. Do I hate to end a tour on a nothing? Absolutely I do. But at least you'll have a great story about Anne Bonny that you'll probably never forget. In between there, we're going to stop at St. Philip's Church and Cemetery. We're going to kind of pick our spot. I told you we're getting into the more popular areas. Spirit boxes, I definitely want you continuing to listen. Tell me what you hear once we get up there. And then, Cece, you might be like the star of the show once we get up in that area. I'm going to need you taking some photographs. So, all right, let's head up around the corner. For those of you with video cameras, if you want to continue recording, you can, or you can stop them. Completely up to you.
I'll follow you. Here. That's cool. Steeple. so much history, you know? So you having a good time? Good.
So I hope for you two locals, you're learning a thing or two
Yeah.
about the differences of how ghost stories are actually run.
Learning more. That's good. I mean, I want to.
That's the whole point. Like, I don't really can't help it. You know, it is what it is. If we get activity, great. If not, you guys have learned some new techniques with devices you never touched before, and you got some weird history that you never even knew about. That was the whole point of the design of this tour. I don't even like calling this a tour. It's like an escape room.
It kind of is, yeah. Yeah, there's more to it. Tours entail that you're just going to walk around and hear a few things here and there.
With a bunch of other people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I asked you. I was like, how many people are coming?
So, and I get that question all the time via text. Come on, you're holding up the rear. Just giving you a hard time. So, you guys have been very quiet tonight for, you know, showing up as early as you did and talking my ear off as soon as we met. Like, I expected you two to like be all over like, the place with chit chatter and that kind of thing. So before I have you guys actually have a seat, which you're fine, you can stay. I'd like to point out this courtyard. Over this courtyard, you'll see the wall in the background. That's the wall to Philadelphia Alley that we just talked about. But there's a gate in the middle of it. That gate was for the loser of the duel. In the event that there was a loser, the dead guy, they would bring him through that gate because it was a shortcut to get to the cemetery behind me. Remember that the alley didn't always go all the way through. They needed a shortcut, otherwise you guys seen the length of that alley. They'd have to carry the dead weight all the way down to Queen Street and come back down and around in order to be able to go celebrate the winner after dropping off the body. Not everybody knows why that gate is there. However, I don't even remember where the hell I found it. It was just like, I have to add this to the tour because it's too much fun not to. I call it the death gate. I don't believe the doctor would have ever have seen that death gate. But at the same token, I mean, when I say seen it, like passed through it, it may have gone to his house by going all the way to Queen Street and down the road. I don't know the route the gates are, but super fun that there's a death gate right there from duels. Have a seat. Let's kind of see what you guys got going on here. Have a seat on the bench. So you guys paid me to go to work, give me a break. Makes me a good employer. So try to listen to. What have you guys heard? What have you seen? What do we got going on here? Jamie, you got anything?
I don't have anything.
Got nothing.
I heard World's on Fire.
World's on fire.
I had class.
Class? Interesting. And what terms do you have going on with yours? The last 5.
Plants, cold, drink,
Yeah.
silence, brutal, world.
Okay.
We also heard a number. We heard 3017. 3017 or something. Dang, I forgot it. 3017. I definitely had a 30. Yeah, 3017.
Thank you, Paul.
Could make it up.
Who's the other one? And I'm sorry, Scott, you said World's on Fire?
It got weird. We abandoned her. Sorry, girl. He never stopped us on
I have nothing on any of
started hanging out with. Yeah, I know.
that. So, interesting. Kind of see what else pops up out of this space. Alright, so, when you guys don't, there's like 15 stories on here. This is normally where sometimes, like if you guys are giving me a lot that's actually relevant to a story I normally don't tell, I go into that specific story instead, where I let the evidence kind of lead us what's actually going to happen. But none of you gave me anything that's relevant to, like obviously those other stories that I don't talk about. So let's get your, let's talk about why every ghost tour in Charleston stops at this cemetery. You know me, first off, I'm going to give you the history before we do anything. So this is St. Philip Cemetery. There are 2 different sides to the cemetery. You're sitting on the eastern side. If you're from here and you belong to the church, you can get buried on this side. Charles Pinckney, the husband of Eliza, and Charles Pinckney, the nephew of Eliza, are both buried on this side because they're from Charleston. John Calhoun is across the street because he's not from here. They actually shuffled his ass back and forth trying to figure out where the hell he was supposed to go. Turns out he's not from here, he just lived here for a very long time. So that side, the western side, is actually open during daylight hours and you can actually walk through it. There's actually a couple of other famous people in there, but we won't get into all of that because there's a lot going on. We do get clues wrapped around Calhoun from time to time, depending on what time of year it is. Normally in March, I'll start to see a lot of things sparking up about Calhoun. So the reason why every specific ghost tour goes up there is because there's a sign right inside the gate. Come on through, ladies. You're good. You don't have to go around.
Thank you.
The sign reads, "There's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost." It's because they don't want guys up there like me with cameras and that kind of thing trying to recreate what actually happened there. Now, every tour stops up there because it's their big finale. It's their show and tell. I usually let them have it, which is why we stop here, and we're actually going to let this tour pass through because it's exactly where they're going to go. In the event that we are done across the street and those of you with cameras want to come back over and there's no tour there, get some footage, take a few pictures, by all means you can do that. Oh, you're good. Come on through. Pass on through.
There you go.
How are you?
Are we going in? And then
What did I talk about earlier? We don't actually get a lot of footage or any kind of evidence out of cemeteries.
because that's not what
Usually, right. And I won't say that that's like a total misnomer because I do have evidence from other cemeteries. This one in specific, I get more clues over here relative to this story than I do through film and footage over there. Just so you guys know. So let's get into what they're actually going to drag out. I'm going to make it pretty much a three-liner. So how about that? She's like, yeah, let's do this one quick. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. I just told you about initials over there with Ralph Isaacs. Sue Howard Hardy's initials are SHH.
Coming, sorry.
Very cheesy, very corny. I hate telling you, but I've seen it and heard it for myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't even say a word. And Tanner, her initials just SH, love to show up on your spirit box, just so you know. So with that, she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. Very abrupt ending, I know. 1987, 99 years later, a local photographer is taking pictures of all the cemeteries. He captures an apparition in one of his photographs as he's trying to develop his own photographs. So again, this is why I let them have it, because it's their one show and tell. It's just, your show and tell is in your hands, obviously. So, how you doing? How's it going? Good, good. So, 1987, it's, obviously he doesn't know what's going on with his photograph, so he sends it to Kodak. It doesn't look like I have to explain what Kodak is to this group. I don't have any super little ones. They have no clue what the hell Kodak is. Welcome to Friday nights in Charleston. So, Kodak doesn't know what to do with this picture either, but what I'm going to tell you about this photograph is that it is cursed to females. We have mainly females in this group tonight. I'm going to ask that nobody touch the tablet. Anybody that's handling it in a digital format, even on your cell phones and tablet, basically the same symptoms like what we talked about at Big John's, the headache, the dizziness, the nausea. Again, remember what my profession is here, folks. Pregnant females, probably not going to have a good pregnancy based off of the gist of the story. This was a stillborn child, remember. I'm not going to be the guy where somebody had a great vacation and 9 months later I cursed your family. Is that fair? So, yeah, you chuckle, but yeah, I'm not getting that phone call and you wouldn't want it either. It's just so you know. I'm going to go down 2 by 2 and show everybody the picture, and then I'll zoom in on the actual apparition so everybody can kind of see what they're looking at.
I've seen it before. Where she's praying kind of above the... They took a picture and it just happened to capture what they think is a ghost, and it's the ghost of the lady next to the cemetery. It's like praying over this, over the...
Where did you see it before?
Oh, it's very famous.
Full picture that was taken. And then this is the apparition he caught. You're looking at her back, she's kneeling over her own grave, and the baby basket is on your right.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, for
The
guys like me,
basket's not there. That's an apparition as well.
that's part of the apparition. This, like I just told them, this is probably another instance where the baby's buried with mom. So again, it's all representative right here, and that is Sue's grave. So you look a little nervous about seeing this picture. So full picture, and then you're looking at her back, top of her head, baby basket's right next to her.
Almost to the day.
So pretty crazy stuff, huh? But yeah, that's why they're all up there talking about this big bomb. And they really drag it out because it's their finale. So we're going to be discussing pirates next. So I get us prepped for that. Have we heard anything or seen anything before I move on to getting us
I
prepped?
just heard 16.
16. I like 16. I want to say... I want to say that she died June 16, 1888, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not certain on it. I don't want to clarify that, but I'm writing it down just in case.
It just happened to capture.
Jamie?
Beyond that.
Enter? We're not going to enter.
No.
Did you really? You heard a baby crying?
Well, no, it was probably some old, ladies singing, but it sounded like one. I'm
Oh.
sure it wasn't actually.
I've had the term cold baby show up on Tanner's device before.
Cold baby.
Cold babies.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely terrifying. So, let's get us prepped for pirates, shall we?
Sure.
Pirates were not fun, but we're going to do them anyway. So, just not my thing. I know a lot about pirates now, but this is still, I'm a vampire guy through and through. But we're in Charleston. You guys see the burning gas lamp down there flickering off in the distance? So that is the pirate house. So somebody does live there. So when you're walking around town, you see the big anchor on the front of somebody's home. That's the pirate house. Somebody lives there. Don't go in his backyard looking for ghosts. He also gets angry. Don't ask me how I know all of these things, but I just do. But at any rate, that's where Blackbeard's men came off their ships and had a place to stay, met with a few ladies, kind of made it a little inn for themselves. They dug a tunnel underneath that pirate house going 1 block away to where Dock Street Theater sits now. Dock Street Theater at the time was called Planters Hotel. It was a whorehouse, a playhouse, and a hotel. We're talking pirates. The whorehouse was probably the major attraction, but pirates were our first stagehands. They probably went over there to work in between bartering with the locals. That tunnel was just filled in the 1990s, so it is not a myth or a legend. I don't know why it took us so long to fill it in, because we are below sea level down here. It probably flooded all the time. There's a couple of rumors around that tunnel that I'm going to debunk for you really, really fast and just give you my logical thinking about this. Some rumors say that Blackbeard's treasures, part of it, is still buried underneath there. I'm going to call BS because we all know that that treasure is in North Carolina, not South Carolina. So, I was killed in Ocracoke, if you know your pirate lore. The other part of it is that it actually extended all the way out to White Point Garden, that tunnel underneath the ground, all the way to White Point Garden. I don't know the exact distance, but I can't imagine 40 to 60 men digging a tunnel to be able to sneak into Charlestown. First off, where the hell are you going to hide a pirate ship in our bay? That's not going to work. Yeah, so I'm going to go with the fact that it actually was from the pirate house down to Dock Street Theater only, just so that they can sneak over there. We already knew that they were here. They just had a hiding spot. That just happened to be the space. So, let's get everybody back up off their butts before somebody falls asleep, because Brittany's looking at me like, yeah, we need to get back to work. So, we're going to go across the street. We're going to talk about Aunt Bonnie and see what we can capture over there.
Yeah, no, I've seen that picture before. And Kodak, they said that they sent it there and they couldn't debunk it. They couldn't refute that it was what it was. Like, it wasn't doctored, let's put it that way.
Happens all the time. So I will honestly say that this has probably been one of the most attentive, responsive groups I've ever had. Let me explain. I'm a writer. That's what I'm actually trained to do. You all are characters to me. So when I ask you guys to meet me early, I'm getting a feel for everybody. I'm looking for my chatty Cathy. I'm looking for my quiet people. I'm looking for the one that's a little bit scared. So again, that's why you guys all showed up. But as I've been talking all night long, first off, all eyes have been glued on me, especially coming from JAMI. She's been like laser eyes. But I see a lot of like head nods and like a kind of mentality. That's very responsive to me. So at least I'm not boring anybody except for Nicole, who's on 6 times. I'm just pointing it out. And it's on camera. I've counted. So
We've got little ones.
So I got to get the laughter out of you guys to keep you guys all attentive and awake, because this one's a little bit lengthy. So, so anything that makes noise or shoots lasers, please keep them on off, and that would include the Scott's device. Definitely, we're going to be using it, but I want to get through this because it's going to be longer if I am distracted too much. So, we're going to be discussing the little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. I like to point out, those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. If you're not familiar with earthquake bolts because you don't live here, they're basically turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, they say you can turn those turnbuckles and straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So I can understand look and confusion on your face. So I bring these up because this is the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? It's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So it held gunpowder for 7 different wars and a rebellion. We talked about the Charlestown walls earlier when we were back at Lodge Alley, because we crossed over where the wall used to be. It came up Cumberland Street. It existed right behind you. Went up past the powder magazine, started going south towards the battery. So it kept it locked into the corners as close as it could, away from the water on purpose. It's holding gunpowder. If it gets attacked from a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship, those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 35-inch thick walls. But we're going to pretend that they do, and it penetrates it, and the gunpowder blows up. There's sand underneath those red shingles that's supposed to go up with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's the way it's designed. It's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery. It did get hit. The sand went up in the air and then fell to the ground, but the building was already burned to the ground. It's already done. So it doesn't exist anymore. This one's just never been attacked. It is a museum now. If you ever need to get out of our heat or cold, spend the $5, get a great little tour. So again, nice little spot. And it's interesting to see just because of the age of it. Notice I said it's the oldest government building, not our oldest building. I give you all of this history of this space because where we are is what I call a familiar area. Anne Bonny was said to have been here during the exact same time that this building was being constructed. That's why we're here. It's like using a toy to attract a child ghost. Just so you guys know why I like to come to this space so much. At least now that I have evidence like 300 that I told you about earlier. So, this building, first off, took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? I would say no, not at all. But anyway, right in the middle of this construction is where our story actually begins. Try to follow me. Lots of twists and turns here. I'll slow down when I can. 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? Mm-hmm. The three of them are running away from his wife. Okay, everybody got it. I see chuckles and grins. Nice. Yep. So, how angry was she that you got to leave the damn country? Just saying. They land in Georgetown, just north of here, between us and Myrtle Beach. Mom dies pretty quickly after Dad buys a plantation over there. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Take a step backwards, Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. So just kind of keep that mentality of this young lady as we're going through the entire story. So we're going to fast forward. This building is done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne is stoked. She's about 16, 17 years old at this time, roughly, because again, we're talking pirate lore. She falls in love. This guy's name is James Bonny. Everybody guess where we're going with this one? I figured as much. Dad doesn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, the most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Her career started basically in the city that you're standing in. So, this is not the swashbuckling Captain Jack Sparrow kind of guy that she was looking for. This guy is a privateer. He's a spy for the British. This guy's a coward. This is not who she wanted. A few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. We're going to call him Jack through the rest of the story, and yes, this is the same Jack that they based Captain Jack Sparrow from the Pirates movies after. He's a very quirky young fella. He has his own ship. Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on the crew. Girls curse pirate ships. They're bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, you could be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's how it's going to go. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her back home in Ireland as a boy to hide her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. We're all adults here. We can figure out that her being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine that help you out. Come back. We'll figure it out later. She has the baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. I cannot find anything in all of my research to find out what happened to that firstborn. She's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty angry. And while she was away giving birth to his first child, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting with that pirate crew to make Jack even more mad because that's who Anne is. Guy number 3, by the way, in case you guys lost track. So guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. And yes, I have to practice that in front of the mirror to make sure I don't F it all up. Just to put it out there. You've seen your eyes going all over the place. So we have 2 females dressed as males to be pirates on the same ship. Something uncanny and absurd all on its own. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She convinces Mary to become part of the crew. They become friends, possibly lovers, because we'll never know for certain. But the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks because they probably don't know how to use the cannons. So, what do you think's going to happen? They're obviously going to get taken. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain and beau and says, Jack, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. So she's still pretty angry. The word dog is a very prominent spirit box term here, by the way. The judge, his name is Nicholas Law, so when you hear or see my name, it's not me. It's usually referring to the judge. He wants to see the two men by themselves after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the crew that wouldn't come up and fight. So the two ladies go in front. They reveal that they're female. He doesn't care. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging till after their pregnancy, but Dad is still here in the Charlestown area with all of his Irish money. He brings Anne back, she remarries, that's husband number 2, guy number 4, in case, again, you lost track, and has 4 children, dies at the age of 84. Wow. Yes, you were not expecting that very abrupt ending, but Mary Read dies a year later in 1721 in that Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. I'm sure it was scurrilous and nasty and gross. I have to think about it 7 nights a week, unfortunately. Now it's your turn. In this space, I am not going to give you a plethora of questions like what we did over there at the Pinckney Mansion site. You all know what you're doing by now. The only 2 things I left out, just to get you all started so you had something to work with, the name of Anne Bonny's parents, I know for certain. That would be the father and his mistress. I also know the name of Calico Jack's ship for certain. So you can ask those 2 questions. I am going to steal you for 1 more minute of your time, just so I can kind of get through why I give that heated warning at the beginning of every single tour. This is one of those spaces where it's actually relevant to the area. Now, it's an uncanny instance like the 300 I talked about earlier. Back in September of last year, it was a little bit cooler than this, and I brought my team back here, and the kid next to me literally goes white as a ghost. Yes, that pun was intended, and I have to pick him up by his armpit before he hits his head on the ground. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side of him, and we carry him over to that brick wall. That's where we're going to end, by the way. I'm going to go over there, chill and smoke while you guys are doing all the work. But we get him over there, we get him a bottle of water, he's feeling better. I then tell the story. It's important to know they have no idea the Anne Bonny tale that you now know. After I'm done telling the story and I spread everybody out with their devices to go have fun, they pull me aside. Nick, we got to tell you something. What's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary on my tour. And it made sense as to why one of them about passed out the minute we entered the space. They stayed seated through the entire investigation of this location, but we did have quite a bit of activity that night. Take that for what it's worth. I did not have to call the paramedics or EMTs that night, thank the gods, but again, I have had to do that in the past. Psychics and mediums normally don't make it through this tour. I would tell you that firsthand. Normally they don't reveal that to me until they're on the ground at the Pinckney Mansion site going, I forgot to tell you I'm a psychic. I'm like, yeah, now you tell me. It happens all the time, unfortunately. The first time it actually occurred, I was in CPR class the next day. So, imagine I see people from all over the country, sometimes all over the world. So, as far as what we can actually do in this space, those of you with cameras, there's 3 of you tonight. You can go and you can stay in this lot if you want to. You can go back to see if you want to get some footage or photographs of the St. Philip Cemetery over there. Do not interrupt other tours, so just kind of take a peek around the corner if somebody's there. Wait your turn, or you can go to the front of the powder magazine and get some footage in front of the powder magazine. Same thing with footage and lasers. The lasers, just make sure that they stay on the ground. Otherwise, you're going to be shining them up into somebody's living room. Those are apartment buildings behind the powder magazine. So just be very careful with lasers. You can use the lasers in here as well. But spirit boxes, and Scott, you're definitely going to turn on the REM-Pod. I have to say, I did pretty damn well with names tonight. I'm just going to point that out. So that's why
I was like almost questioning why isn't all of our names so fast?
It's every night.
I practice names all day long.
No, it's just when I get down here, I told you, y'all are characters to me. Mm-hmm. So Toby is easy to remember, and I hate to tell you this, but my first dog's name was Toby.
I hear that a lot. I do. I hear that a lot.
You know, it's funny. He was a Springer Spaniel, almost the same color as your beard. So your name was super easy. And Nicole, yours is easy too. My name's Nick. So again, it made sense to me. Do you see how I have to put clues together? It's my job, bro. It's what I got to do. So we're gonna have some fun in here. Let me know what you guys are hearing. If nothing goes on in this location in the first 5 minutes, I will. If you guys aren't rushing to me with great clues, I'm gonna round up everybody and get us the answers, and we'll wrap up our night. Again, this is a hit or miss. We're never gonna know until we actually get out there and start hearing things and seeing what motion Scott has going on with his device. So let's have some fun. Spread out. Let's do this. How's your camera working?
It's stuck. I was just
Stuck.
going to tell you
Awesome.
after you finish.
This parking lot.
Yeah, we're gonna stay either in this lot, or you can go to the front of it. Those with cameras can go back to the cemetery if you want, or come back.
Do you want to hear?
We actually captured a lot of footage.
Really?
Yes. For this camera, I normally only get about 20 minutes out of it. You've got like 35, 40 minutes out of it so far. So that's pretty good. the other camera, I'm able to capture just as much as the thermal, which is about an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes on the single image. That's why I love it so much. It doesn't usually break down. You just stop taking the charger or what's attached to it. That's why I was so
What?
upset.
You're wandering.
Yeah.
What you got? Did you just turn it on again?
I can't tell if it's on or
Well, don't do that.
why.
Because I don't know if it'll come back on the way it should. What you did, babes.
Looking at them going, okay,
They're all black.
but I flipped through them if I have to lighten them up.
Here, make sure.
Ah.
Make sure it's working.
How can I tell?
Well, it wasn't. It's not doing what it was doing before. It had a.
Spot checking forward because they're still. So again, I'm gonna look at every single stick. If it's too dark, I'm gonna lighten it up. I'm gonna wait for the computer to lighten it.
Didn't it have a different light going on, sweetie?
Uh-huh.
Here, ask him. Just make sure. Yeah, go ask him.
It was so weird.
Dude, don't fart around with it. Bless you.
I'm going to talk about skirt layer because I like that one too. Those are all good that you mentioned because you relatively obviously know the story. But the skirt one is something different off the cuff totally.
Oh, really?
Did I do something to this?
Broke it.
I did, but it's like such a thing.
It can be fixed.
You turn it off, turn it back on. There you go.
Thanks. Yeah, well, I didn't know if it was on mute or not, and then I started.
Oh, yeah, there's only like one switch on there, and you found the one switch.
But I shouldn't
She's good about that. She's a mother.
okay, it's
That's
not recorded.
mothers know how to do that. They find the switch.
I know. We have a 3- and 5-year-old boy, so you know, I'm just like.
It's okay.
That-
Again, that was not
nothing.
recording. I don't have to splice anything together. I'm not worried about it. The audio is a little trickier to splice together than video. Video just takes a specific software for each one. And the nice thing about yours, I put the software in the phone. So I set it up on my way home, and it's already spliced together by the time I get home.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
I use Movavi because it takes an MOV file and turns it into an AVI, which is what YouTube will accept.
Movavi. Makes sense. Makes
So
sense.
I splice them all together as soon as I get to the car. I put it back in the bag. I get home and I attach it to the computer, and it's already uploaded in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some cold spots, but nothing.
Nothing drastic.
Yeah.
That camera does love to act up in here, just so you know. I will see specific like instances where white lines will come through. It'll stop working, and it's only in this spot. Only in this area.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep somebody in the.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah, you're hot. I got you. I gotta say that.
Of course you do. You have to use my jokes. It's okay. I'll let you have that.
Dad jokes. We all have them, right?
I have a 15-year-old and a 21-year-old. They are so over my damn dad jokes. Like when my 15-year-old's on the tour, I do dad jokes all night long. You know, just because she hates them. And she heckles me all night long. You know, so,
He is a 15-year-old in
Yeah.
that.
A 19-year-old. But then we also have a 3 and a 5, so I was not.
Pleasantly
I love
surprised?
her. I didn't expect to have a 3 and a 5-year-old. We're all good now, though.
with the cemetery, you can use the laser inside the cemetery.
So what are we at? What do we want to ask?
What, asking something? Wait, so who she dressed up as? What was he saying? That there were
In the day, back in the days, women were not allowed on boats, so they had to dress up like men. So there was an instance where she was dressed up like a man, and she met another pirate that was a woman dressed up as a man, and they connected. And he said he didn't know if they were a thing, but there's probably were.
Well, and who was on the tour? Two transgender. Like they were dressed up as boys, but they were girls.
They were going through transition. They were boys, but they were similar to this scenario.
Yeah.
They identified as male, but they were female.
Gotcha.
So how many ghost tours did you guys have you taken? Because you said you were the only one that's taken them.
Yeah, I've never.
How long ago was that?
Oh, been a while.
Eons.
Probably
Yeah,
like
I think
10 years
I'm trying to think
ago,
of which one. It would have probably been Bulldog. I think I took it from the Griffin.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only done history stuff.
Well, and they're historical also,
Well,
with the caveat of having the other stuff with it.
Right.
Like my favorite building is oh shit, what's the name of the damn thing? It's the one on East